promoting dialogue.
It's midday in Dakar and Accra, 1 p.m. in Port Novo. Good afternoon, and thank you for staying tuned to West Africa Democracy Radio, broadcasting on 94.9 FM and around the world at wadr.org. Welcome to Newslink. First, our top stories. Turkish government pledges support to Nigeria in the fight against terrorism.
Under the leadership of Mr. Tinubu, we stand with the friendly people of Nigeria in their fight against terrorism, in military training and intelligence.
AES convenes first board meeting of its Confederal Bank for Investment and Development. Ghana and Jamaica sign a labor exchange agreement for teachers and medical professionals. And FAO says 52.8 million people in West and Central Africa risk acute hunger this year. Please stay tuned for details of these stories and more.
On the news, this is Abdullahi Hassan.
Glad to have you join our midday edition of Newslink with a focus on the foreign relations between Nigeria and Turkey. Beginning our edition, both countries are signing several cooperation agreements in various areas, including security, trade, and energy. Nigerian President Bola Tinubu is currently in the Turkish capital, Ankara, meeting with his counterpart, Recep Tayyip Erdogan, on a diplomatic visit. As the discussions unfold, Turkey has expressed its readiness to support Nigeria in its fight against terrorism. Augustine Colley reports.
After his meeting with President Bola Tinubu in Ankara on Tuesday, the Turkish president indicated his country's readiness to support Nigeria in its fight against terrorism. President Recep Tayyip Erdogan said Turkey has examined options for closer cooperation in military training and intelligence. These topics were extensively discussed between the presidents of the two countries during their meeting in the Turkish capital. During a press conference, President Erdogan stated he also discussed trade, energy, investment and education, among other issues, with his counterpart, Bola Ahmed Tinubu.
Under the leadership of Mr. Tinubu, we stand with the friendly people of Nigeria in their fight against terrorism. Indeed, today we evaluated opportunities for closer cooperation in military training and intelligence, and stated our readiness to share our country's significant experience in combating terrorism.
Through these sectors, Abuja and Ankara aim to reach a bilateral trade volume estimated at $5 billion or over 2 trillion CFA francs. Meanwhile, Daniel Bwala, Special Advisor to President Bola Tinubu on Policy Communication, says the Nigerian leader's visit to Turkey is part of a strategic approach reflecting the federal government's desire to strengthen its partnerships with foreign powers towards making the country a gateway from Africa to global markets.
They are good in the area of security. They also have the capacity to produce weapons that are key and critical to what we need. We also have areas where we've been of help to them. If you look at Turkey-Nigeria relationship over the years, you will see investment by the Turkish government in Nigeria. And so this is a shared meeting for shared interests.
Turkey and Nigeria have been collaborating since 1962. Bilateral relations between the two countries have strengthened since 2010, with results in the areas of health, education, industrialization, agriculture, defense, and trade. The volume of trade currently exceeds $1 billion per year.
Augustine Colley filed that report. Meanwhile, the Nigerian National Assembly is taking steps to enhance the electoral framework by introducing stricter penalties for vote buying and other electoral offenses ahead of the 2027 general election. These proposals are included in the Electoral Bill 2025, which is currently under consideration by the legislature. WADR's Ichenesa Sasetu reports from Abuja.
After a 35-day recess, the Nigerian Senate resumed its sessions on Tuesday, focusing initially on the Electoral Reform Bill 2025. Senate leader Opeyemi Bamidele announced that the National Assembly has proposed stricter penalties for vote buying and other electoral offences as part of efforts to ensure the integrity of the 2027 general election. During the plenary session, Senate President Godswill Akpabio stated that the proposed amendments are aimed at restoring public confidence in Nigeria's electoral process.
The speed and quality of adjudication in technically demanding areas such as terrorism,
financial crimes, taxation, intellectual property, maritime law, and election-related litigations.
The bill includes mandatory jail terms and increased fines for offences such as result falsification and obstructing election officials. Additionally, the proposed legislation introduces electronically generated voter identification, including a downloadable voter card featuring a unique QR code. It also requires presiding officers to electronically transmit polling unit results, which will include the total number of accredited voters. These measures are intended to enhance transparency and reduce the potential for manipulation. The Senate leader mentioned that the committees on the Independent National Electoral Commission in both chambers are expected to submit their reports soon, leading to a clause-by-clause consideration of the Electoral Bill 2025. For WADR, Yechin Sasitu in Abuja.
More stories coming up on West Africa Democracy Radio. Newslink continues.
As a reminder, we stream live at wadr.org and on Facebook and YouTube at WADR. The governments of Ghana and Jamaica have signed a new labor exchange agreement that will enable Ghanaian teachers and nurses to work in the Caribbean nation. This initiative is expected to create new job opportunities for local professionals while strengthening diplomatic, economic, and security relationships between the two countries. The agreement comes days after Ghana began sending health workers to Antigua and Barbuda on the similar overseas placement initiative. From Accra, Nadir Tete reports.
The development was announced by the Minister for Foreign Affairs, Samuel Okudzeto Ablakwa, following talks with Jamaica's Prime Minister Dr. Andrew Michael Holness during an official visit by a Ghanaian delegation. In a Facebook post on Tuesday, January 27, 2026, Mr. Ablakwa said the discussions focused on a special labor exchange program expected to begin later this year. However, he did not disclose how many professionals would be involved or the specific terms of the arrangement. Minister Ablakwa also disclosed Dr. Holness's gratitude to President John Dramani Mahama and the people of Ghana for their support after the devastation caused by Hurricane Melissa, describing the gesture as one Jamaica would long remember. Beyond labor cooperation, the two countries are exploring broader partnerships. Talks included plans for a Ghana-Jamaica Defense Cooperation Agreement, which signals expanding collaboration beyond diplomacy and cultural relations. The Foreign Affairs Minister added that discussions also examined business opportunities for Ghanaian firms as Jamaica prepares a major infrastructure renewal drive under what Prime Minister Holness termed a Build Back Better agenda. At the international level, Dr. Holness pledged support for President Mahama's proposed United Nations resolution seeking recognition of the transatlantic slave trade as the greatest crime against humanity and renewed calls for reparations. The Foreign Affairs Minister said Ghana is looking forward to hosting the Jamaican leader, who has expressed interest in visiting the country in the near future. For WADR, Nadir Tete, Accra.
Now to the Central Sahel region. The first board meeting of the Confederal Bank for Investment and Development of the Sahel Alliance State AES concluded on Tuesday in the Malian capital, Bamako. This new financial institution, with a capital base of 500 billion CFA francs, aims to finance development projects in the three AES member countries. During the meeting, officials emphasized the need to accelerate the bank's operations. Christopher Ticho has more.
The purpose of the meeting for the BCIDAES governance was to lay the foundations for the bank's governance, which aims to finance key development projects within the AES region. For Mali's Minister of Economy and Finance, Alioseni Sano, good governance remains the priority. He emphasizes transparency and the bank's resource management. The first board meeting primarily served to review the founding documents in order to accelerate the institution's effective implementation. With an initial capital of 500 billion CFA francs, the Confederal Bank for Investment and Development aims to become a major driver of financing for infrastructure, agriculture, energy, and industrialization in the three countries of the Sahel Confederation.
A report filed in by our Bamako correspondent Aliu Cham and voiced by Christopher Aticho. Away from Mali, the Gambian government has approved a new 10-year validity period for its national identity cards. This decision follows an agreement between the Ministry of Interior and Margins ID Systems Limited, a Ghanaian-owned identity solutions company. The goal is to implement a modern, biometric-based national identification system, modernize public services, and enhance internal security. From Banjul, WADR's Sandana Mendy reports.
The Ministry of Interior says all the new national identity cards will now be valid for 10 years under a revamped National Identity Management System. The system is being implemented through a public-private partnership with Margins ID System Limited. The biometric infrastructure will run for 8 years before being handed over to the government. According to authorities, the first phase will result in mass enrollment of citizens and residents with existing ID cards gradually replaced. Current card holders will receive their new IDs at no cost. Many citizens have welcomed this initiative, describing it as timely and cost-effective.
It is a practical decision that will save Gambians time, money, and hassles. Less frequent renewal means less paperwork, less screening, less stress, plus it's eco-friendly.
It is a welcoming note, looking at the situation in the country and probably also looking at the economic hardship in the country. If the national documents can take a duration of 10 years, I think it is going to motivate a lot of people to come up and to be able to acquire it.
For them to go and renew every 5 years, they find it very difficult.
You having it for 10 years. Would in fact ease all those stress. If this could also be extended to our passports and also the driving license, this would ease so much pressure and the stress on the citizens that they have to think my ID card or my driver's license or my passport is expired.
Additionally, the Interior Ministry says the new system will provide a secure, scalable, and integrated identity platform, including electronic ID cards that meet international standards. Officials know that the reform aims to improve services, streamline administration, and strengthen the integrity of the Gambia's identification system. For Newslink on West Africa Democracy Radio, I am Sangdana Mendy, reporting from Banjul.
Crossing to Liberia, opposition leaders have criticized President Joseph Boakai's recent State of the Nation address. They also challenged the administration's claims regarding economic progress and fiscal responsibility. The political opponents are questioning the validity of major assertions made by President Boakai during his speech regarding investment, job creation, budget allocations, and anti-corruption efforts. WADR's Morovia correspondent Abraham Parker reports.
The coordinated response underscores a growing demand for greater transparency and accountability in governance, setting the stage for heightened political scrutiny in the months ahead. Adesanya Cummings, political leader of the Alternative National Congress, presents a comprehensive counter-argument. He states that the time for empty promises is over and calls on President Boakai's government to be realistic with the people.
We need a national micro-loan scheme. We propose a dedicated credit and guarantee scheme specifically for market women and small Liberian businesses.
Major opposition Congress for Democratic Change, through its chairman Janka Ko, accuses the current administration of misrepresenting progress and failing to acknowledge the accomplishments of the previous government.
Civil servants, market women, students, motorcyclists, graduates live on a constant economic anxiety. Prices remain high, jobs are scarce, and purchasing powers are weak. If the economy were truly improving in people's lives, Liberians would not be debating survival.
Meanwhile, businessmen turn to politician Musa Ability of the Citizens Movement for Change raises concerns about the transparency and accountability in the government.
Mentioning the HPS and Azerabito concession agreement, the figure of $4 billion is the figment of the imagination of the president's speechwriter. No more than $900 million over several years is the highest of the investment.
At the moment, fact checkers, including transparency groups, are conducting a more comprehensive engagement with the president's national address in the interest of citizens. For Newslink on WADR, Abraham Parker, Monrovia.
You are listening to Newslink here on West Africa Democracy Radio, broadcasting on 94.9 FM and live online at wadr.org. Here's a reminder of our top stories. Turkish government pledges support to Nigeria in the fight against terrorism. AES convenes a first board meeting of its Confederal Bank for Investment and Development. Ghana and Jamaica sign a labor exchange agreement for teachers and medical professionals. Ahead in the news, FAO says 52.8 million people in West and Central Africa risk acute hunger in 2026. We also have the press review, guest interview, and sports news. Please stay with us.
Fresh and breaking news all the time. Hear it first as the news breaks, only on West Africa Democracy Radio. Newslink continues.
Many thanks for staying with us. Now, the Food and Agriculture Organization, FAO, says nearly 52.8 million people in West and Central Africa face acute food insecurity during the 2026 lean season, which is set to begin from June to August 2026. According to FAO's latest harmonized 2025 analysis, 41.8 million people are currently facing acute food insecurity. The food and nutrition crisis in West Africa and the Sahel continues to deteriorate, affecting millions of households. FAO calls for urgent collective action to strengthen humanitarian response and implement sustainable solutions amid declining funding. We have more details with Imoredet.
In its latest press release, the Food and Agriculture Organization announced that a CADER harmonized 2025 analysis was conducted across 15 countries in the region, including Cameroon. The findings indicate that conflict, climate shocks, rising food prices, and cuts in humanitarian funding are severely undermining the livelihoods of the most vulnerable populations. Kofi Dominique Kwaku, head of FAO Sub-Regional Resilience Team for West Africa, said the food crisis is driven by a combination of interconnected factors. He emphasized that persistent insecurity, particularly in the Lake Chad Basin, Liptako Goma, the Anglophone regions of Cameroon, and parts of northwest and central Nigeria, restricts access to farmland and markets. Between October and December 2025, nearly 41.8 million people were classified as being in worse crisis conditions, according to the CADER Harmonized scale. Among them, more than 1.4 million individuals face emergencies, including in Nigeria, Cameroon, Chad, Ghana, Guinea, Mali, Niger, Senegal, and other countries. FAO warns that if additional actions are not taken, up to 52.8 million people could experience acute food insecurity during the upcoming lean season from June to August 2026. The humanitarian organization is urging governments and partners to immediately enhance response efforts to support food production, protect livelihoods, and increase investments in community resilience.
Imoredet reporting.
This is the newspaper review. Stay abreast and find out what the top stories are in your country.
This is the newspaper review.
The newspaper review.
Well, let's take you back to Banjul for today's press review with WADR's Sandona Mendy.
Hello and welcome to the press review coming to you from Banjul. We begin with stories making headlines across today's papers. We start with the Alkamba Times, which reports that court remands Fajara nightclub shooting suspect in custody. A Kanafi magistrate court has denied bail to Saliu Gay, the suspect in January 19 shooting incident at the Fajara NV nightclub. Also in the Alkamba Times, teenagers rob a former Gambian diplomat Lamin Kamara in broad daylight at Serukunda, Westfield area. Let us now turn our attention to the Standard newspaper, which says Minister denies NPP Women's Fund comes from the government. The paper reports that government minister has rejected claims that the National People's Party Women's Fund is financed with public money. Nightclub shooting suspect denied bail over public safety concern. Over 100 teachers strike over double shift payment delay. More than 100 teachers have gone on strike to protest delays in the payment of allowances for double shift teaching. We move to the Voice newspaper, which reports that RTD Colonel SAR petition Reparations Commission over alleged exclusion. Retired Colonel SAR has petitioned the Reparations Commission, claiming he was unfairly excluded from its compensation process. Police suspended road sweep permits nationwide. And finally, we check the Point newspaper, our last paper for today. The Point reported that Gambia strengthens 3 major border posts with major revamped. Newly born baby found alive in the street of Gunjur in Kambo South. Gambia judiciary handled 9,942 new cases in 2025. And that does it for this edition of Press Review. Back to you in the studios.
Many thanks, Sandona Mendy.
Politics, analysis on major news, social matters, and all. This is a guest.
Our guest this afternoon is Dr. Olumayowa Joseph Olani, a Nigerian security expert. Olani joins us for a better understanding of why the Nigerian security agencies have lately been caught in the web of denying reports of security breaches, only to confirm the information days later. The two recent incidents are the Defense Headquarters' confirmation of a report of a fuel coup plot in October last year, and the Nigerian police also acknowledging a mass abduction on January 19 in Kaduna State, Northwest. In both instances, the security and intelligence units of the Nigerian government justified their actions. Olanian, however, explains the ups and downsides of such tactics when it becomes a pattern.
I think the first thing that we need to look at is to look at the operational security of some of these issues too. Sometimes early disclosure could jeopardize some of their ongoing efforts. For instance, it could compromise arrests and it can also compromise surveillance. And in fact, it can also compromise ongoing investigation. So sometimes they look at it from the angle that not all the information needs to be released to the public, especially when they do not have concrete evidence or they do not have things under control. If you are looking at it from the perspective of the coup d'etat, I think sometimes they look at it from the perspective that they do not have all of those things in control. So it's better that they hold on to some things before releasing it to the public. In fact, on this particular case, I think they started before the media report by Sarah reporters. I think the military had actually started their arrest before then. Conversations with some people working in the intelligence community showed that they actually started arrest before then, before it was made public by Sarah reporters. Another thing, again, that we need to also consider is that information within regimented organizations like the Nigerian Army, Nigerian Police, they are asymmetric in nature. It simply means that information has to run through the command chain to the very top before an official position is presented.
Well, Dr. Olani, regarding the earlier denial by the Nigerian armed forces of the alleged coup plot against President Tinubu, do you think it has a level of sensitivity, seeing that Nigeria is considered the powerhouse of ECOWAS?
I think another thing that we need to look at is the political sensitivity that comes with a news as such as coup. And this is coming from a background of the fact that Nigeria, being a member state of the ECOWAS, being in fact a very strong arm of the ECOWAS, would almost throw every other part into complete chaos or confusion. If there's an announcement, not just an announcement, if there is a confirmation from the military that there is a coup ongoing, in the country, it will send a lot of signal, very wrong negative signals, not just within the Nigerian space, not just within Nigeria, but also to other West African member states, ECOWAS member states, So again, the way they want to manage such information becomes what they think about, the political sensitivity, the political nature of the country, the polity also influences the way they also present some of this information to the public. So sometimes, or should I say oftentimes, when they have such issues come up, what they will rather want to do is to hold on before they go to the public to make statements.
To what extent will this be damaging if it becomes a pattern that security agencies in Nigeria will first deny reports only to later confirm these reports?
Public trust is shattered, completely shattered, if it becomes continuous, repeated, for security agencies to deny incidents when actually victims of these incidents are also available in the public space, where they also have access to internet, where they have access to speak their mind. The security agencies will be saying one thing and the victims will be saying another thing, completely different from the position of the security agencies. It shatters people's trust. It shows a lot of gap. And again, it shows why, as a country, we have continued in this circle of insecurity that we've had for some long years now. Maybe whether it's terrorism from the northeast or banditry or any of them. Trust is a very huge component in helping us as a people, as a country, to solve most insecurity challenges that we have. So it becomes imperative for security agencies to find every means available to build public trust.
Dr. Olumayowa Joseph Olani, a Nigerian security expert. Well, in the sporting world, the 2030 Men's World Cup final will be held in Spain. The president of the country's football federation has said Spain, Portugal and Morocco are co-hosting the tournament, while the opening 3 matches will be played in Uruguay, Argentina and Paraguay to mark the competition's 100th anniversary. Morocco has expressed interest in staging the final, but Spanish Football Federation chief Rafael Lozan said, and I quote, Spain has proven its organizational capacity over many years. Morocco wants to stage the final in Casablanca at the Grand Stade Hassan II, which is due to be completed in 2028 and expected to hold 115,000 people. Last year, Morocco's Royal Football Federation president Fawzi Lekcha expressed his wish to see the stadium stage a final against Spain. And with that, we've come to the end of this edition of Newslink here on West Africa Democracy Radio, broadcasting from Dakar, Senegal. Thank you for listening, and special thanks to Mustafa Sek and Maudo Juf for the technical support. Do interact with us via social media platforms X, Instagram and Facebook at WADR English, and stream live at wadr.org. Coming up at the bottom of the hour is a repeat broadcast of our gender program 50/50 with Nadiri Tete, to be followed at top of the hour of 1 p.m. by the second edition of our comprehensive news package in French and Foshevu with Demba Amaran. I'm Abdullahi Hassan. Good afternoon.
And many thanks to you for listening to Newslink via Hot 104.3 FM, Newmi FM 94.0,
Hilltop Radio 104.7 FM,
and Veritas Radio 102.9 in Banjul, the Gambia. We also appreciate our listeners in Liberia via Alternative Youth Radio 98.9 FM, Lofa County,
Radio Kagama 94.5 FM, Niba County, DCN Radio 91.3 FM, Riverside County, Wakat FM Radio, Banga, Liberia, Radio Baf FM 91.3 Sierra Leone in Nigeria, and Love 104.5 FM Abuja.
For you listening via Radio Pad 95.1 Damango, Savannah region, and on Royals FM 104.7 Wenchi, Ghana, we say a big thank you. Remember, West Africa Democracy Radio is all about you, your views, and your opinions.